Hello. I got word that my initial video, the audio did not work, so this is my second try at this. I apologize. We are going to be looking at the three basic economic questions that all societies must answer and the four economic systems that people have developed to answer those three questions. Not every society does everything the same as we do here in the United States. One of the things that we do in this class is we compare our economic system in the United States to economic systems, for example, like in China or North Korea, and they are vastly different. So let's just get right to this. There are three basic economic questions. Who decides what is produced? Is it the individual? Is it the government? Or is it your social status based on your family lineage? Second question is who decides how goods and services are produced? Is it customer demand? Is it government quotas? Or is it societal expectations? For example, royalty gets this and peasants only get that. And who are the goods and services produced for? First off, a good is a physical thing that is traded or bought. A service is labor that is given in exchange for either monetary gain or a good or service. And who are the goods and services produced for? Well, is it whoever tradition dictates? Back in the Middle Ages, that's what would have happened in Europe. Whomever the government says can have it. Well, North Korea and China, that's the way it is. Or whomever can afford it. In the United States, that's the way it is. To answer these three questions, four major different types of economic systems have developed over time. If we were back 6,000 years ago, the most common economic system actually was traditional. Today, you rarely see a traditional economic system, but of the four at one time, it was definitely the most common. Today, not very common at all. A command economy, you'll see this in a communist nation like China or North Korea or Cuba. A market economic system, you'll see this in countries like the United States. And then a mixed economic system. Most countries today are not actually 100% any of these three. They mostly are one, but they take a little from the other two and borrow them and put them together. So, in a purely traditional economic system, everything is based on custom and tradition. It's handed down from one generation to another. Often, your job is predetermined at birth. You're going to be what your parents are. The allocation of scarce resources stems from ritual, habit, or custom. So, for example, in the Middle Ages of Europe, only kings and queens could wear purple, as an example, because that represented royalty. And it was against the law to dress as somebody out of your class. Most of the economic transactions are done through barter. That is when you trade one thing for another. You see barter all the time in the lunchroom. I'll give you my apple crisp for your hush puppies. Deal. No money was exchanged. Okay? That is barter. Now, traditional economic systems can have money. So I don't want to make it strictly no money, but for the most part, the more traditional a society, the less likely money will even be involved. Today, we still have areas where traditional economic systems exist, such as in rural African villages or in parts of India where the custom is that if you're of a certain class that you are to be in a certain place. And you may also see this amongst the Aborigines in Australia or the Inuit along the Arctic Circle. Now, there are advantages and disadvantages of a traditional economy. Traditional economies are very stable. They're very predictable. They're continuous. And economic roles are set. So you're always going to have somebody to do a job. And predictable in harsh environments, those kind of things, predictability, stability, continuity, are going to be highly valued. But it discourages new ideas. It gets in the way of progress. And generally, it's only functional where places where a lower standard of living is to be expected. Traditional economies answer the three big questions. What will be produced? Whatever tradition, values, and rituals dictate. How will it be produced? However traditional values and rituals dictate. For whom will it be produced? Whomever traditional values and rituals dictate. Pretty much, that's it. Now, a command economy, the central government answers the big three questions. They get all the say, and the people don't get a say. The economic system's government is called communism. The economic system's economy is called a command economy because the communist government commands what will and will not be made. Government decides the needs of the people, not the people, and the best way to produce it for everyone. There is very little input from the people in countries like North Korea, China, and Cuba. There are advantages. Everybody does have a job. The basic needs are taken care of if your government makes sure that is done. Everybody gets education, public health, other services at very little cost to them. However, there's a lot of disadvantages. Individual freedoms are squelched. New ideas are discouraged. Everybody works for the government, so there's a huge bureaucracy. There's no incentive for inventing something new. You can't get rich. Everybody gets the same thing. And nobody gets what they want. So that's the disadvantages. So how does a command economy answer the big three questions? What is being produced? Whatever the government decides. How is it being produced? The government will tell someone to make it, and they'll make it. For whom is it being produced? Whomever the government decides gets it, and who doesn't. It's that simple. Now, a truly 100% hands-off system is called laissez-faire, which means to let be. That is a tenet of capitalism, or a free market economy. Notice the word free. Ironically, in a free market economy, nothing is really free. However, you are free to make the choices with the wealth that you do have to buy what you want or what you don't want, and to start a business to make money, and as much money as you want. And you have the right to work as long as you want or as little as you want. However, you're also responsible for the outcome of that. So, for example, let's say you choose to do a job or start a business at selling grass clippings, and nobody wants your grass clippings. Well, guess what? You're just stuck. You're going to be poor. In a true capitalist society, there are no safety nets. Now, no country today is 100% capitalist. Most countries are capitalistic, which means they're almost capitalist, with a few safety nets. For example, here in the United States, if you lose your job, you might get workers' comp, and you might get welfare for enough time to allow you to find another job. You're not going to get rich that way. It's not going to be the best life, but you're not going to be homeless on the street with nothing. We have protections. Other examples of capitalistic countries: Canada, South Korea, not North Korea, South Korea, Singapore, Germany, and Great Britain. The advantage of a capitalistic society is there's individual freedom for all. Hey, what happens is your choice. There's no or little government interference. You have an incredible variety of things to choose from. Hey, if you can get rich selling those grass clippings, go for it. And you know what? Maybe there is a high demand for that. If you see a need and you fill it, you're welcome to get rich that way. And there's a high degree of consumer satisfaction. In other words, people buy things that they want. Generally, they're happy with them. But it only rewards productive people. It doesn't take care of everybody. Workers and businesses face uncertainty because of competition. So, for example, if there's a factory, like let's say a car company, as somebody else starts to make cars and they make more of them and they can sell them cheaper than the other car company, the people at that first car company, they could all lose their jobs. And that entire town, if it was dependent upon that factory for income, could then be having a hard time. There's not enough public goods because you're required to pay for your own education, health, and defense. If you choose an unsuccessful job, you can lose your job. That's unemployment. And you are responsible to guard against market failure, not the government. So in other words, there's no welfare, there's no workers' compensation, there's no Medicare or Medicaid. You're on your own. How does pure capitalism answer the big three? What will be produced? Whatever the consumer wants or the buyer. How will it be produced? Whatever the business workers are willing to respond to the demand. For who will it be produced? Whoever has the money, whoever can afford it. Now, like I said, most countries are a mixed economy, but the kind of mixed economy that a country is will tend to favor one of these three. For example, China does have a little bit of capitalism. Notice I used the word little bit, in special areas known as special economic zones. For example, Shanghai is one, and they allow a little bit of capitalism so that the corporations can make money there. But for example, in the United States, we tend to favor capitalism, but we borrow a little bit of social services from socialism and communism. We borrow, for example, public education. We borrow a welfare system as a safety net. It's a mixed economy. We also borrow from traditional values that have come to us from the past. So, for example, if there is a divorce and a woman did not have a job and a man did, the woman in the marriage would be compensated. We call that alimony, because she contributed value to the marriage and she's part of that, of the joint wealth of that family. All right, I want you to study real quick this chart. I want you to pause the video. I want you to study the chart. I want you to know the four the four kinds of economies that you're going to see in the world. I want you to know the three economic questions that are answered. And I want you to know how each economy does that. All right, guys, I'm sorry that the video audio did not work. That was a glitch. And I hope this fixed it. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you.